It's day 693 of the Arukh HaShulchan. If you look sponsor, come and share more of the Arukh HaShulchan. Please contact me directly. It would be very greatly appreciated. Today we're doing Siman Taf Lamed Beis, Seif Dalet, Taf Lamed Gimel, Seif Hey. One bracha can make a check several houses. V'im ba'abais roti amid mim lebeis etzel b'shoshim baruch. If ba'abas wants, he should stand several of his members of his house would buy him. Time makes the bracha b'yanu amen d'shan tzvamein. The spouse each should come and each one should then scatter livdok asmacha brachas berach ba'abais to check based on the bracha ba'abais made. The Asura Shul Masi Mitzvah Achas Brachas Kum. 10 people doing the same mitzvah, one bracha counts for all of them. The Baal Bais Mitzvah Echad Livdok. If the Baal Bais directs someone else to make the bdika, also the other person makes the bdika. Afagav Shem Mitzvah Mutela Solav. The mitzvah is not incumbent upon him. He come also. Since he's the agent of the person whom the mitzvah is incumbent, he can make the bracha like he does. Just like when the mila with the obligations on the father of the child, and the mo can make the bracha. Mitzvah that's still a mitzvah for him to do it rather than his agent. When he makes the agent, he asks the shliach he should make an agent who is a obligated mitzvah b'dika, and somebody, an adult, and somebody who has has proper das, v'lo and not a child. Which the Bura says, according to strictly law, you can rely even on women and slaves and children. In other words, it's best not to rely on anyone other than free males who have attained the age of majority. Back to Arukh HaShulchan, if you're going for house to house, it's not because of interruptions. The customs leave hard crumbs of chametz which won't but disintegrate in order that the person checking should find them. Being loner sound like if you don't put those crumbs there, it's not an impediment. The intent of any person is to eradicate the chametz if he does find it. It's a custom to put 10 hard crumbs in windows. The aim of chametz don't make a shariah on b'dikas chametz. She'ena mitzvah sheish b'simcha. It's not a mitzvah which has simcha entailed, intrinsic there too. V'od came shu shayach le'etzem and Pesach, and besides, since it's part and parcel of the mitzvah Pesach, harei yivarach shechino akos shel kiddush. The shechino going to make on the kos of kiddush applies to this mitzvah as well, to the b'dikas chametz. Hey, ודאי no שיש שואלים לפי מנהגנו שאנשים מנקים בחדרים ובתיבות וכל המקומות שהשתמשו בהם בחמץ כמה ימים כל פסח. According to our custom, evidently prevalent back in the Arukh HaShulchan, the women clean the entire house backwards and forwards, up and down, several days before Pesach. But all our bosses for learning to shum chametz. By the evening of the 14th, there's no chametz around. Zula smash menichim lechol bala, except that which is left over to eat that night of machabak in the following morning. They mushimarim, and those are safe kept. He came out with him bdika shon baruch. What's the point of bdika that we should make a bracha on it? But if the come, every place has been checked already. It's not a question. First of all, the bracha includes not just the search, but also the notification, which comes after the search, and the eradication over the next day. Furthermore, until the next day before chatzos, sometime before chatzos, there's still chametz which you have to eradicate. What's left to eat and night the next morning. Although the truth is, obviously, you don't have to leave over chametz for that. But in case we have a commotion on the because it's in the middle of the checking. We already explained when you're still in the middle of the bracha, middle of the checking, still make a bracha. If you gimel, see the next simon. Generally speaking, what I answer when people ask me this question is that it's a takas chachamim. It's a mitzvah d'rabbanan to do, regardless whether you can find anything or not. How do you check, and what are the places which you must check? The check has to be simply be alive. The can of low are running out by the light of the moon. Babi Shal Yudal, it's Ziv Halvana Mafik, even though by the night of the 14th of Nisan, the moon is very radiant, it's the middle of the month. Kamagam Tzarech Dafka or Ner, you specifically need the light of a candle, Nesha or Ner Yofel Bdika, because the light of a candle is good for checking. Chen Amar Navi, and the Navi Tzfania says, Ba'isi at that time, Achapes Yisraelim Baneros. I will search out Yerushalayim with candles. Now is it better than the light of the moon? El Afilu Meracham, it's even better than the light of the sun. And therefore, if you did not check it now, you have to check during the day. You should not check the moons by the light of the sun. The light a candle and check by its light. Because you can put the candle into holes and crevices. Only a very open room, which is very brilliant light. Because the fourth side is completely open, you can check by the light of the sun. For Rambam the Rambam shall write that if you did check by the light of the sun, that suffices. The Masha B'diavad, sounds like it's going B'diavad if you did, not that you should do that l'chatchila. Gemara Fush Lafi l'chatchila, but Gemara seems to say that it is even l'chatchila. V'chenkos have a tour. That's what the tour writes. Those who say come else they meet the same mishum l'chatchila yishlok b'layla. You can check l'chatchila by the light of the sun the next day, but l'chatchila you should check the night before. Ain't it must speak. That's not a sufficient answer. Because we hold Shalobadak we're talking about a case with Shalobadak we didn't check at night. Therefore, sees me talking by the Rav Tzorch near Dafka. Shami asks, maybe even places there's a lot of light, you also need still candle. After the even though we hold that like our Shas, there's a lot of light, you don't need a candle. Because the Unless the Rambam is concerned with Yerushalmi that everyone needs a candle, and therefore it's b'diavad to be in a situation where you don't need a candle. Mishabur writes like the Yesh Misha Oimer, which is what we just said. Also opposite the skylight, Shabagag in the ceiling, there's a bright sun. It's like the Aksadra Das Tur Gang Chalum Shabakazadinkin. So it's the opposite of windows, it's the same halacha. Yesh Chokim say those argue about the window situation, although Mishmur does pass like the tour. Of their schuchis asur, that's the name. You can't check through glass. I guess the question is, obviously many people use flashlights nowadays, and it's really checking with light comes through glass. And there are people who would say, well, you shouldn't use a flashlight for that reason. But we're not on that because what it really means is you should check through glass, meaning that the light source is hidden by glass, or that the chametz is under glass, but here it's really talking about the light source, and therefore a flashlight is okay. Rosh Hashanah used the candle and a flashlight, it says, and used the candle with the light on. He didn't turn off the light in order to do b'dika. Base aim boking you can only use the light of a candle, not the light of a torch. These Charim are afraid to put torch into the holes and into the crevices. And also the light does not extend forward, but it stretches behind the torch. Even if you check with the torch, it's not valid. Just like the checking by the light of the moon. Those who say, if you did check by the light of the torch, but you're okay. Disagree with that. Someone who's lenient, Rabbi is stringent. What is a torch? It's when you take two wicks and braid them together. Or 2 wicks, I guess, 2 candles and braid them together, or 2 tapers. 2 tapers and braid them together. Or glue them together. And you specifically have to use a single wick candle. And the candle should be of wax, not of tallow, nor of fat. Because it might then drip. You might be afraid it's going to drip on your vessels and on your clothing, and therefore it's going to ruin them. They don't check properly. But even the candle was made of tallow or of fat, it is okay. If you don't have wax, you can take tallow. Take fat. Also should not use oil. But then those say, well, if you use oil, not use it altogether. They should be started at least is talking because you're afraid to put it into holes and cracks. Pan Hashem because might drop the oil. The chum and spill the oil. The chum is that is too big a chumrah. Because Kane had neft and certainly kerosene, which we also was loose, that now people burn in glass burners. You also have it, I'm sorry, with wood brands, you know, say, Tava Kavuga, that's like a torch. Gimel, Mukhyav do come Shechus B'Muhammad. You have to check all the places where Chametz had been brought in. Also, place where we suspect that you came with your bread. So as attached to somebody had to go in that room. But Shem V'Lachein Kochad She'Abayis V'Yos Tzrichim B'Dika. That's it. All de facto, all the rooms in the house and all the upper floors required checking. Also cellars, She'Shem Yain, which have wine, V'Sheichon beer, V'Shemen and oil, V'Shemashka other beverages, Miniachlim types of foods. Because sometimes you go in there with your bread. Then based on so to the warehouse for wood, based on tem in the warehouse for straw, based on gechol in the warehouse for charcoal, all require checking. But warehouses of wine oil that you don't use on a regular basis. Or when you do use them, you take one time everything you need for the next significant amount of time. You don't take gradually. Answer don't require checking. So to the warehouse for the straw, where you don't go often, answer enough to check. Anything similar, logic prevails. Also by us under the beds. Kisos goes under the big chairs. And so too under big chests and drawers. When there is space between them and the ground, so you have to check. A lot of times chametz rolls down under them. So two small boxes, which are in the large closets or drawers. Within large boxes. They require checking. Sometimes you hide in them rolls and similar stuff. If you have holes in the wall and or you have protrusions come out of the wall, which are not too high, the person can reach them when he stands on the ground. Nor are they too low, so it's that they're right adjacent to the ground. So they're required to be checked. But ones which are really too hard for the person's hand to reach them. Those which are within 3 feet of the ground, and so you don't have to check. We don't usually use them for putting stuff down. Because of the children in the household. So the low ones require checking. So they play on the ground and they put chametz in these nooks and crannies. Also, the roof of a second floor or a large shed, which are slanted, or say or by us that all the roofs are slanted. You don't need b'tika on the roof. You don't use them. Because they're angled, they're not to friend usage. And even this is a rooftop, so to speak, in a house, like the top of a closet or the top of a chest of drawers. You don't need b'tika. But if it's a flat roof, so b'tika requires b'tika. Even though it's very high. There's your bias. No, it's a very high closet. There's a bias company only because if you're at home, sometimes you can stand on a chair and use the top of that closet. Can you really say no? Gag Hashabah, she talks about Gag Mishupa, she calls him Baidim by us in the attic, which is the level ceiling, which is underneath the eaves of the slanted roof. The only Summa you go up with ladder in if you use it occasionally during the year, Tashmishim Harbe with significant usage, and Tarbidika it has to be checked. It does not have to be checked. I missed the Mishnah Berurah somewhere here. Mr. Burr says that by olive using olive oil, some people are machmir in the evidence the check was not a valid check. Mr. Burr writes when it's a very big tircha to check in a place where you would like an attic, you can sell the whole area of the attic as part of the sale to non-Jew, and we'll have to check it. Hey, Refuge Bakar, a place for cattle, not a stable, corral. Ain't doesn't require checking. Shim hayah sham chametz. B'scham tzar b'emus yichlu. The animals will eat it. Chayin lush tani golim, also chicken coop. Ain't doesn't require checking. Shim hayah sham chametz. If there was chametz tzar tani golim yichlu, the chickens would eat it. V'chein karga b'ayish tani golim mitzvim sham. So to the floor of a house where there are chickens running around. Check because they're eating the chametz. Underneath the beds, you do need checking. Shema garu sham because maybe the chickens moved there a large piece which they weren't able to ultimately eat. Interesting, he says it's enough then to sweep, you don't have to actually check. If there are no chickens around, you have to check. Shema nigra l'chor v'lesedek. Maybe some chametz was put into a hole or nook or cranny. But where there are chickens, they pecked it out. But no chickens around, maybe nothing moved it from there. If something goes without saying, you have to check under the chairs and under the benches.